Well, that chime means it's time to start Ironsworn, I guess. Welcome, everybody. First off, what happened over there? Is that your
I
elbow,
just,
or?
I did, no, I did it on purpose, but I
Uh,
didn't think it was on. Like, I didn't realize it was on. Sorry.
that's okay. Um,
I was testing and yeah, I wasn't, nothing.
no worries, no worries. Before I get started, this message in particular goes out to anybody who is just watching this straight from the last YouTube video. If you're watching episode 25, I apologize profusely for the audio you just sat through. We've been working right beforehand, trying to do some tweaks to make sure it should not happen again today. All of that roboty stuff, I was not under the impression it was going out into the recording. I thought it was only our Discord call that was weird, and figured that going to OBS was going to be fine. That was clearly not true. It was really, really bad. Hopefully that won't happen again today. If it does, I'd say like let me know. But at the same time, if it's still going to be a problem, then I don't even know what I can do about it exactly. Hopefully it just won't come up. It seems to be doing fine
Yeah.
through our tests. We seem to be doing okay. Um, so hopefully we're in the clear. But yeah, sincerely apologize. I certainly strive to have a better like technical experience for you, and bad audio is just killer for this sort of thing. So sorry.
And now you know how I felt the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
God, this is driving me
I
crazy.
finally listened to it. Now I definitely know how you feel. How you felt trying to just parse that the entire time. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of audio, I'm gonna try and give us a slightly better mix. Can you say something again?
Peter
Ah,
Piper picked
cool.
a peck of
Got a better
pick,
sense of where
pickle.
we are in
Wait,
comparison to each other.
wait,
Now
I
you're
didn't get to
done. You're
finish.
done. No finishing.
Pickled, pickled,
The pickles are
poop,
unpeppered or
poop,
whatever.
pickled poop.
Pickled poop. That's anyhow. All right, let's try from the beginning. Hey, welcome to a new session of Ironsworn. This is going to be episode 26, I believe. Come a long way since the beginning,
Yeah.
and we need to come a long way from the luck of last time. Jesus Christ. That
Yeah.
like four critical failures, like big double fails that happened right in a row last time, set us in a really bad situation. We were hoping to recover from it today. If you weren't there last time, the important thing is that my character's full on like my legs are paralyzed. It went so badly, and Gray has been sent to try and see what she can find in this weird living cave dungeon thing. See if she can find some herbs or crystals or whatever the fuck, something out there that she might be able to turn into a healing thing to help me get over it. I got paralyzed by these kind of like crab things that inject through their pincers, inject a little venom that, like,
Neurotoxin.
yeah,
Yeah.
neurotoxin sort of thickening agent that just makes these legs completely paralyzed. So I'm
Those
down.
bastards.
We're down below in an area where the cave itself kind of like shifted to try and slide us down into sort of its own stomach area. We're near a big underground lake that is somewhat acidic. It'll like not like acidic on the scale of like you put your arm in, you pull it out, and there's nothing there. But so it's not like a D&D style acid pit, but it's acidic enough that the idea is that over a long period of time, the lake of the cave just like digests you and feeds you to the lake itself. We don't want that to happen.
Hmm.
We're
No,
thankfully, yeah.
preferably not.
I have no interest in it. I don't want to speak for you, of course, but I don't think we have any interest in it.
I don't. I'm not
No
interested
digestion.
in.
Yeah.
Not interested in being digested. So.
Gotcha. Well, let's make that not happen. We're neither. To be fair, neither of us are in the lake at the moment, but nearby, certainly at the shore.
I just imagine I have so many bruises from tumbling down
Yeah, because Gray
that slope.
had to like kind of do
Oh
a
God, God.
controlled descent to follow Flint, who had just like tumbled down in a paralyzed way, getting concussed and bloody and lots of problems. Gray went down in a more elegant fashion, but still, yeah, you're gonna be feeling that tomorrow. I would have to imagine. But anyway, why don't we indeed dive into where we left off? So, wrong page. There we go. So we are in a place called Hollow's Breath. It is an ancient cavern, and we're just trying to find our way through to the other side. We are using the delve supplemental rules to help delve this dungeon. Now, we're in kind of a weird space right now because Gray, we're indeed separated. The last thing we did last time was the acceptance that you needed to kind of go off on your own to find this because Flint was going to be like, just it being as paralyzed as he was, like there's just no way he was going to be able to come along in a way that wouldn't completely throw you off. Like you'd have to like have him like fireman carried over your shoulder the whole time, and at that point, what real benefit is he providing?
Yeah.
Other than I guess in
Almost
theory,
wish he was back in the bottle.
yeah,
The
right.
necklace bottle.
I guess in theory, the vision could potentially be helpful, like the kind of like view of the other world. But we start off, Gray. You've gone off. We need to find out like what happens to you. So the way I'm gonna rule this, I think that we're gonna lump this all into the same sort of delve progress on finding a safe exit. Like you're still exploring the cave. You're still like, who knows? Maybe you'll find the way out later, and you have to just come back and get Flint. Like this is all still figuring out where this leads. So we're gonna just do it like any other delving, even though we're not in the same place and not traveling to literally find the exit. Like you have a secondary goal. I still think it kind of counts. We're still finding our way through this weird darkness. So why don't we start off by doing I think it's like plumbing the depths or delving the depths, something. What's the move called? Delve the depths. Our just bog standard kind of roll for just let's make progress in the dungeon. So Flint is left behind and is paralyzed, kind of a little bit helpless. So my question for you is you've got the three possibilities of how to be doing this, and I want to know which one would be your. What are you leaning into? Are you prioritizing speed to like get back to him quickly, which would be going with haste, using your edge? Are you trying to just stay hidden from any other like monsters that might be here, like the crabs, in which case you might be rolling into your shadow? Or are you indeed still taking your time and just trying to be careful about this, like really observing, trying to choose the best route? Like, what's your priority here?
I think I'm trying to use speed.
Okay.
I'm trying to get this done quickly and get back to Flint and hopefully get back to Thornberry, which I don't really know where Thornberry is.
Thornberry's up above. We don't know exactly what happened to him, but
I assume that there are plants of some sort growing in this.
There are things around. I mean, we're gonna have to find what we find.
Fungus.
We'll see what we find in here, but there might be something that you can use somewhere in here. We've kind of just been banking on that being true. We don't explicitly as characters know whether or not there is, so hopefully we'll see what we can find. Just something that you can use with your herbal, because the big problem was just that like if you had your herbalism kit, if you had all your supplies, you could probably come up with something, but we're out of supply. We have nothing, so you just got to go kind of foraging around here. So let's get you to a new place to see if we can find some area to forage in. So your edge, unfortunately, is not one of your good stats, but let's see how this goes for you.
Yeah, I would like to know if I find something that I know would be useful.
Yeah, I think if you find something, you'll know whether or not it's useful. Like, I don't think that's the problem. I think the question is more like, can you find something? Yeah.
Because I would assume I'm trained in, even if it's foreign, I would have some knowledge.
Yeah. Actually, I want to check something again real quick because I want to remind myself whether or not we're allowed to resupply out in the wild if you don't have any supply, because that might be another way to roll this. Is just you're just hunting, foraging, you're scavenging. Like we could turn that into that sort of roll instead. Sorry, I've got a lot of gas coming out. I've been drinking that Diet Coke and it's wanting to make an appearance. Yeah, let me. I just want to check that move really quickly. Because I can't remember. I feel like that's the one where, like, if you're completely out of supply, you can't do it. But I could be wrong, and I want to do this correctly. Adventure moves, resupply. Here we go. Looking through. Okay. When you're in the field and you need to bolster your supply track, make this move. Fictionalist represents hunting and gathering. You might also search an area. Okay. That's right. Okay, yes, indeed. If you have the unprepared condition, which is what you get when you're out of supply, you can't resupply. You have to find a community. So it's what I thought. I I just wanted to check in case I was misremembering, but indeed, once you're fully out of it, like, you just don't even have the supplies to do hunting and foraging and stuff. Like, you're just completely barren. Yeah, you don't have the arrows to kill a rabbit or whatever. Obviously, that's not what you're looking for in this circumstance, but you get the idea. So, let's roll that edge and find out what we can find in here. Hey, despite it being one of your worst stats, we actually start off with a strong hit. It can happen. Nice. So, strong hit. The results on that are... Oh, yeah? Yeah, thank you for the host, Blake.
Why, you're welcome.
On a strong hit, you delve deeper, mark progress, and find an opportunity. Well, opportunity would be a great opportunity to find something you might be able to use. We might be able to actually roll with this really quickly. So you delve deeper. We're going to mark progress on
I'm a Wayfinder, so...
You are, exactly.
Would that apply?
Well, Wayfinder is very specific in what it does for you, which is not that. Your Wayfinder is specifically helping when we're undertaking a journey, like from town to town, and specifically when you burn momentum to get a better result. It kind of like helps you get more momentum back. So it's very specific in how it helps you. But, we certainly understand you're a Wayfinder and can imagine how that's helping you keep your bearings here and why, potentially even at speed, you're not running into trouble. But yeah, the opportunity, like, we could... Ordinarily, we might not really know what we're looking for, and we could just do the find an opportunity move, which is certainly a thing, which is when you encounter a helpful situation or feature within a site, roll on the following table. So, like, we could roll it randomly, but we could also just be like, hey, an opportunity could well be that we find something that could be useful. Now, I don't want to just give it to you. I think that it would be nice if, like, you find something in a room that is otherwise, like, there are some dangers to getting it. So, like, that way, like, it shouldn't be too easy. But at least there's a big opportunity.
This is a dangerous place.
Exactly. But the very fact that you found a place that has something that you think could be useful, that sounds like a fitting opportunity to me. And I'm interested in kind of starting things off that way. So let's ask ourselves a couple of questions, and we're going to use the Oracle or anybody in chat who has any ideas to figure this out. We need to know, first off, like, what did you find? Like, obviously some kind of herb, but, like, let's figure out a little bit more about, like, specifically, what are you finding here that you think would help cure paralysis? So the way we do this, we're going to ask the Oracle some yes or no questions, and we're going to hone in on, like, what is this thing like? So my first question for it, sorry, there we go, ask the Oracle, is I want to know, is this an herb? Because it could be, like, what if it's, like, a glowing spring or something, or you even mentioned crystals last time.
Yeah, it could be fungus.
Yeah.
Crystal or...
I'm actually, we mentioned the crystals last time, so I'm going to change that question. I want to know, is it, like, the crystals that you found that you think are helpful? I'm going to ask that. Is it crystals that we think are going to be helpful for this healing purpose? We could just rate that as 50-50 because I don't have any particular leanings on whether that's more or less. Like, we know something is going to be helpful, and I don't think it really matters all that much what it is. It'll just help inform us. So, yeah, 50-50. Let's see. Is the thing you found the crystals that we mentioned? Yes. Okay. So you found a room with, like, some glowing crystals in it. I guess how did you describe it last time? Do you remember? Like, what did they look like in your mind?
They just look like your classic kind of crystal shards that grow upward out of a chunk of rock.
Okay. Are they like so
I see them as like bluish. I don't know.
So they're indeed like growing out of the rock. It's not like do they like stick up in a decent way, or I almost kind of see it partly because of just playing all the Stardew Valley. I'm imagining like the crystals inside of like a geode, like
Yeah, like I'm seeing something like that, but I'm seeing the shards kind of like, 4-inch shards, 4 to 5-inch shards, maybe some smaller, some a little bit bigger, that are kind of,
I like the visual of them indeed being
branching type ones.
Like that some of them might stick out, but there's a lot that are just kind of like inside of crevices and like Like they're
Yeah,
like
it's
not
not
as
like it's
exposed.
blatant open.
Yeah,
There's a
like a
lot of
field of crystals. It's more like there are rocks that have openings that you can see. Like, oh, there's totally glowing crystals in there, but they're kind of hard to get at, and potentially even
Mhm.
like maybe another question would be like are these crystals safe to just outright touch? Like
Good question.
because like the
Yeah.
danger in getting them could be
But
external, but it could be internal, and just like yeah, harvesting them like they're really sharp, or like they'll burn you. Like there's just something that you can't interface with them directly. Like I feel like we should find that out.
I do like the idea of them having that same kind of glow that my hands do.
Oh,
I
totally.
I like the idea of them having that.
I do too. I think they definitely radiate. I
There's
think
some relation to the
I,
obelisks.
in fact, think that's part of why you're certain that they could be a help, is that because your hands
Yeah.
have been used to have a kind of healing effect before, I think, um, or at least
We're
channel
just
channel that
connect.
magic, you recognize that these crystals channeling that same magic may well be able to, like, they may be able to do something for you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I want to know: are these crystals just safe to safe to interact with completely without like any preparations or like like can you just touch them and that's fine? um you have any leanings on whether this should be like likely or not, or
I would like to think it's likely, considering that I already have that kind of obelisk light gift in me.
okay,
I like to think that it's kind of on my side.
all right, then let's see, let's rate it as likely and find out. So
Not everything about the cave's on my side, but
yeah,
this kind of
but you got kind
is.
of an angle in.
Yeah.
All right, so the question is, can you, oh, I also need to roll it. We need to find out what kind of room this is, just to kind of set the stage a little bit more as we go into other questions. But yeah, can you just touch these crystals directly and it's fine? I'm rating it as
Mm.
likely. No, despite it being likely.
Dang
Yeah,
it!
you would think so. As you see, it says likely right there. You'd think so, but apparently not. Maybe it's
Okay, it could be a defense mechanism for the
exactly
cave. Like
like
it
they.
doesn't. Maybe it needs these
I was gonna
crystals,
say
and
these crystals
or
might be part
anything.
of what's keeping this cave alive and weird. Like
Like that.
the fact that they all
And it would
exist here
make
in the
sense.
rocks
Yeah.
is kind of like almost its own mutating sort of radiation that like it's bringing a life to
Mm,
this place that shouldn't otherwise exist, and so like it
interesting.
perverts things, and yeah, the cave certainly wouldn't want you to touch them.
I would be very curious if there's a way I can connect to the cave
Oh,
itself,
like through the
like
crystals.
communicate through the crystals in some way. I wonder if I sense that at all.
I guess my question is how do you think you would come by that? Like, would you just like would you be trying it, or like how do you think you would figure that out?
I feel like I would be trying to concentrate more on almost like a telepathic kind of communication, like using the magic of my hands, kind of intensifying that and concentrating on that, and maybe trying to see if there's anything back, if I'm receiving any feedback from it. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that.
Yeah,
I'd like to try anyway. If I can't touch it, I might be trying to do that as
yeah.
well.
It definitely seems like a bit of a reach compared to like the types of stuff you usually like the kind of magic you can typically channel has been pretty low level.
Yeah.
Um, but
Maybe
we can.
Flint has more of that
I was gonna
ability.
say like Flint's view into the second world has definitely been better. Like he's got a specifically he can kind of do an amount of like my sighted ability allows me to kind of identify and detect mystic forces, like gather information about them. So historically, I've been a little bit better at like at least getting an answer to that, like knowing like whether or not you could. Um,
I'll have to ask him when I get back.
yeah,
But
we might be
right now,
able
I
to.
got to figure out how to pick up these
Yeah, we might
crystals.
be able to figure it out that way. So you can't just touch them directly without it harming you. We should figure out
Hmm.
like what you would have to do to safely harvest these, because it's still an opportunity. Like there's still a chance here. We just need to figure out like how do we
I
circumvent
like
this
to
danger.
think I like to think they're just super sharp.
I
They're
think
like
that's at
so
least part
sharp
of
that
it.
just the slightest touch and
They're
it's
like
going to
really
cut through
jagged and broken in a lot of directions, and like it's
something.
yeah, like it would just it's so like razor thin, and like it's like trying to grab like just razor blades and stuff. Like it's just going to cut in so
Yeah, but
immediately.
like the thinnest of
And I
ones that are just
imagine that the problem is like with the weird magic and stuff that they have, you don't want any part of that getting inside of you unless it's been specifically prepared to work in the right way.
right.
Like it's super dangerous. It would be like just
It might need to
it
be
would be like
crushed
just
up
like
into
putting
like a
uranium
paste.
inside of you or something. Like
Mm.
um, I think you would have to like use your herbalism and prepare it properly. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a danger. I want to know, is there anything else in here that's weird and keeping you from like, is it just going to be a matter of like facing danger and just being really careful? Um, or is there
Mm.
some other thing making this room weird? And before we answer that, let's find out what kind of room is this? Like, what are we looking at where you find these crystals? I think that'll help us figure out what makes sense a little bit more.
I
So,
imagine it. Oh, sorry.
that's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Um, there's ways to help kind of randomly determine it. If we go back to Delve here, I'm gonna roll on the features table again, just to find out like what's this room like. What are what are we looking at generally? So one on a result of 1 through 20, it's going to be some kind of ancient feature, which is what happened last time. Whereas 80% of the time, the fact that it's a cavern is going to be what's really defining this place. So I'm going to roll a d100 and see what we get. 34. Okay, so it's our bog standard twisting passages. So it's not any particular room. You find yourself in, I guess, as you're going through these twisty, cramped passages, there's like a branch to them where maybe like lining the walls or something, you can see like inside some crevices and stuff. Like there's like I think there's a long running crack in the wall. It's narrow. You can like maybe just barely fit your hand into it. And inside of
Mm.
that, there's all these like crystal pieces that are kind of beyond. It maybe like opens up a little bit more on the inside, but like there's kind of like a narrow entry, and then it widens beyond it, and you can like see there's like kind of a bed of crystals in there growing out, jagged. But it's hard to be careful just because the entranceway is so narrow. Like you'd have to just like, kind of like slide your hand in and like barely be able to get at it. That's how I'm seeing
Mm.
it anyway. And like, there's just kind of this faint glow from inside, and there's a chance, I guess, that if we want to inject another danger there, and I don't want to be too mean because this was indeed an opportunity. It wasn't like something went wrong, but like another way that something might be a problem would be if there's other like if there's little tiny like bugs and stuff in there, or like something that roams the crystals. Um, Granted, the crystals themselves are kind of hazardous enough. I don't know that we need that secondary thing.
Yeah, I think just getting to them, that struggle is is enough, and then just figuring out how I'm going to get them back to Flint. I think I just imagined that I like try to manipulate them onto like I find a flat slab of
Mm-hmm.
a couple of rocks and try to just like
Just
maneuver. It's
carry him on that. Yeah,
very,
because thankfully, I mean, you found
very.
this pretty much right away. So I think we can imagine that you haven't had to go that far to find something. So you wouldn't have to carry it that far back. Um,
So
so,
I can't touch them, but I can
or at
find
least,
them to.
based on the way we said it, I think it's less that you can't touch them at all and more that it's just so dangerous to touch them because they're so sharp. Um,
I probably do cut myself a little bit too, in the process,
yeah,
trying
so
to get them.
So what is your plan to get them out of this like crack to begin with? You see an opportunity, and based on the way they look, there's just something telling you like the magic in these like it's if you pulled out your book or something like or if you thought back on it, there's got to be a way to use this with uh with your herbalism
Would my
skills to just
would my book count as a supply
your
though?
book's kind of weird. It's a very specific thing that you have. Like supply is like supplies and like more general purpose kind of like your book is more special than that. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
good. That's good to
I don't
know.
think you've specifically lost that.
Um,
I think the only way to really lose that is if something in the fiction really takes it away. If you specifically leave it behind, or if something happens. Just running out of
okay,
supply isn't enough to deprive you of that because it's not like something you consume while on the road.
okay.
But
So
yeah, maybe like are you even just like maybe leafing through the book now to kind of cross check and be like,
no, not
okay,
not at the moment.
okay,
There's just part of me that knows that these are gonna be
you've
helpful.
read stuff in there. You know that there's value in them.
Yeah.
So, how do you get at them to try and make this try and harvest some?
If it's wide enough for me to get through, I will probably try to get through. Is it not wide enough, or is that what?
It's wide enough for like your hand to kind of like squeeze in. It would be difficult.
Yeah. If I can reach them, then I will try and do that. I might even risk getting cut a little bit if that's the case.
Okay. So yeah, we could just do this as a straight old just face danger with like edge, because I think it's mostly about your like nimbleness to try and do it without like to like wiggle your hand in, and also be careful about.
I also have a slab of rock too. So I have a slab of rock. Like I know it's really a primitive way to try to get anything done, but I probably am trying to like bat at it or knock it off.
Oh, to kind of like
out.
break some off.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I still think overall this is really about like it's basically about your edge and just having a good nimbleness to make this work.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's have you face some danger. Come on. Okay. We have a miss. Let me check your momentum to see whether or not you're okay. Okay, no, you don't have enough momentum to turn this into anything higher than that. So we have a miss. And what that...
So I just bat at it with the slab and it falls to the ground. I can't.
Yeah, it's like hard to get at, but I mean, something worse than that's going to have to... you fail or your progress is undermined by a dramatic and costly turn of events. So the price could indeed be like we've got a couple of options here. It could be about just what it does to you in the process of like you can get it, but it's so hard to do it while not hurting yourself that you just do. Or we could also go in the other direction of like it's just that trying to do it indeed you're kind of batting at it and they just get out of reach and you just kind of like lose the opportunity. I think it would be like either way works. It just kind of puts the story in different directions. We'd have to like find another possibility of like how to do this, but if we don't want to have to go through that kind of luck to find an opportunity again, which it's not going to exactly happen all the time, maybe indeed like you're getting cut up and something happens in the process. Because like a weak hit would be just the endure harm, like take one harm, so it's got to be, this is a full-on miss, so it's got to be worse than that. It would probably be that and like something that happens
and I cut myself.
well I think that would be the cutting yourself. The and would probably be what we were talking about with like you don't want to get it inside you, like that's a bad time, in a way that's ideally not just like more harm, maybe something more interesting than that. Like we talked about how the cave doesn't want, but wouldn't, like it's kind of like lifeblood in a sense. Like these crystals give it this sort of sentience and make it so strange, and it wouldn't want you taking them. So maybe the cave responds to the idea of you like harvesting them. Like you cut yourself a little bit, and then while like shit, like something happens in the cave.
We might just deploy some other defense mechanism that, like, some other creature or
making like
some gas.
Like a gas vent could happen, or like rocks could tumble, or all sorts of cave options.
I like the idea that a gas,
I like a gas too, just like a vent sort of. Maybe they like.
I start smelling something. Like, what is that?
Like hadn't really noticed that, or maybe it's like I was thinking like it could be like just a vent that's at your feet that you hadn't really noticed, or it could be that this crack in the wall doesn't only house crystals, but it houses like there's a it connects all to this sort of natural gas line that the cave can pump out harder, and it like sprays out towards your face. It might be something to have to avoid. So yeah, let's start off. You cut yourself a little bit. Let's do that part, and then let's see about this gas. All right. first things first. Your health will take a hit, and let's have you endure some harm. See how well that works. Endure harm, you're going to roll with your health. Okay, thankfully, you get a strong hit on this, which is good. It allows you to take one of a couple options. So, since your health is greater than 0, you could get that health right back. It would cost you a momentum. So you can basically turn the health hit into a momentum hit. Or you could just embrace the pain and take one more momentum.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna embrace the pain.
Okay.
I know that it was a risk, and I'm just
like it's just necessary.
Damn it.
Okay, well, let's give you that one more momentum then. That, and I guess I don't have your momentum on screen right now, so I won't even worry about it. Oh. I've got it accounted for in Roll20. So yeah, you embrace the pain. You just know it's necessary, but then there's this this sound of gas emerging, and let's see, is it more of like, because it could be like a blast of gas, or more just like it starts seeping out and is a little bit more subtle and just like.
I like the idea that it's more subtle. Okay. I think I start smelling it first before I really notice. It might start picking up, but it starts off a bit slow, and then as I glow my hands, I notice this kind of off color.
Yeah.
Kind of stream of gas coming out of like a crack in the.
Yeah, I think it's all that same crack. It's starting to vent out of there, and you smell like, something. That
doesn't smell good.
You smell something weird, and I think we could do this in a couple of. The way I'm thinking of like how to represent this is maybe one more face danger with like iron or something to just kind of like your body just being able to withstand the gas and not be affected. And if it doesn't, then it might start having some just like effects on you. And we can figure out what those are if they become relevant. Does that sound reasonable to you?
You can get away from it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I figured. Like since you've already been breathing it in, like if that's how you notice it, is kind of like the smell of it afterwards. That just be like, is your body able to just deal with it well enough to begin with to just like get away while you only like deal with the small amount that you would have had to have breathed in to notice in the first place. It's kind of like your bog standard like fortitude save in D&D. Like, can your body take it? As you're presumably just trying to get away afterwards. And yeah, this is bad. So, like, it could be edge as well, and you just getting away quickly. But in the end, your iron and your edge are the same number, so it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. One of those is you're either toughing it out or you're getting away quickly. One or the other is saving you from the harsher effects of this gas, and we'll see what it is. Another face danger, and you got at least a little bit higher momentum now. It's probably not going to help you, but we'll see. Okay, indeed. We have another miss here on the face danger. So we need to figure out, like, what does this gas do? Now, I imagine it as being, like, hallucinogenic, just like a thing that's to try and, like, disorient you so that you're more likely to get lost in these caves and, like, not be able to escape with the crystals. Because, like, I think the cave, like, it knows you have them, but as long as you don't escape with them, it's all still good.
Wait, was I able to get the crystals?
Yeah, you just hurt yourself in the process.
Oh, I wasn't clear on that. I thought that I couldn't get them. And
no, that was just consequence for doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, because on face danger, like, you could just fail, but it seemed more interesting to be instead you're just there's a dramatic and costly turn of events that undermines your progress a little bit. So it's kind of a yes, but instead of just saying no, which I'm a fan of. So yeah. This gas, I think hallucinogenic, and
that's an interesting idea. And
the world just starts getting a little bit more warbly and not really
warbly
Not really sure what's real.
Kind of warped.
Yeah.
Maybe it just kind of warps
Well,
my surroundings.
I think that's where it starts, but at the very least, it's going to make it harder for you to just like navigate back to Flint, because it's. I think the passages are like shifting and stuff in your mind, like the things aren't staying straight, and like the more steps you take, like the more it's getting. Like it starts off just like a little bit of a warble, but then like it just gets weirder and weirder as it starts coursing through your blood, and I think you're probably hearing things, and like there's just
yeah, the cave already distorts sound, so now it's distorting my vision.
Exactly.
Just like distort everything.
And you know, like this will pass. We'll get through it, but for now, it's just yeah, it's like you took a hit of acid right now, and there's just the colors are strange, and I feel like there's this feeling like almost in that dream way where like you know how you don't want to think of bad things before you go to sleep or take a trip or something. Like I imagine there's sort of a need to focus on good thoughts so that you don't start encountering things in your mind that are just like a bad trip and like weird horrible monsters and stuff.
Well, Gray's never had a trip, I don't think so. Well, she's had worse things happen, I feel like, though. But
yeah,
I don't know if she knows too, but
I think it's just more.
She probably does try to keep a steady
Yeah.
mind while it's happening.
I think it's more just something that we can keep in mind as like if something goes wrong, it could be a result of that sort of thing where like you imagine this thing and it becomes a little bit too real for you. And
oh yeah,
it almost has kind of like
something that might even be harmless, and you're just like,
yeah,
oh, that thing's out. That's gonna get me.
Exactly.
That stalactite wants to kill me.
Yeah, you know the stalactite. Or stalagmite comes alive in your mind, and like you know, it has a face and teeth, and is totally is out to get you, and forces you to make potentially bad decisions about like you know handholds that you might need to take while climbing through these caves that you don't your mind reels against touching, and it just makes this whole process more difficult. So, what I'd like to do is just wrap that whole concept into just as you're presumably trying to get back to Flint at this moment.
I might even call out to Flint at this point.
Oh, interesting.
It's probably going to distort the sound, though. It might just scare him if he hears a distorted, weird scream or something.
That would be an interesting choice. Like, okay, so Gray starts calling out to Flint because the world's just getting a little too weird, and I guess you don't trust yourself to navigate it. You've got like enough of a.
Flint, can you hear me? Flint.
Let's ask the Oracle. Like, can that get to Flint undistorted? Like enough for him to understand what's happening here. I hope so, and I'm interested in that because I like the idea of Flint trying to come to the rescue, like having to like crawl his way towards you would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. I probably don't call out that much too because I bet you sound gets even more distorted with that gas.
Well, at the very least, it's distorted to you.
Yeah.
And so,
exactly.
Yeah.
See, just everything scares me at that point.
Probably. Yeah, your heart's
like, oh, I shouldn't shout out like that.
I think your heart is just racing and like it's making you
I'm sweating.
Adrenaline is surging. But yeah, let's ask the Oracle if wrong thing.
Can Flint hear me?
Yeah, like does the message carry all the way to Flint? Because you're not that far away.
What if Rascal went with me? Did Rascal go with me?
I think we talked about before Rascal staying with Flint. He was kind of like pulling at his clothes, but Rascal might hear you.
If I'm gone long enough, he might send Rascal.
Maybe.
I bet your Rascal doesn't have as good vision in a dark cave.
Yeah. So let's see. What, like 50-50 on this? Whether or not it gets there undistorted enough that he can make it out?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So can Flint receive the message? Yes. All right. And that was an 84, so even if I had put that as unlikely, it still would have gotten there. So
Sweet.
we're pretty solidly in the Flint. It probably does carry some amount of distortion, but it still has enough of the quality of your voice that gets out there. So I imagine Gray just kind of crouched down, like trying to keep her bearings, like hands on like the floor or something, as it feels almost like the world is rocking around, and you just like call out in fear, or do you see it a little bit differently?
Yeah, I see it as that. And I'm definitely gripping onto whatever I can find because, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
everything's moving too much for me.
So Flint hears you call out clearly in distress, and he knows that you know that he's paralyzed. So you wouldn't do this if it weren't a big problem, or a big necessity to get there. So I think he's going to take it very seriously, and recognize that somehow I got to get to you. Um,
I'm scared at this point. I don't know how long this is gonna last.
Totally. I think you should be. I think you've.
Or if it's
I think you've gotten to a point where it's not specifically getting like it. Actually, I don't know. Maybe part of it is just that indeed because of that miss, like there's still some amount of the gas that you're inhaling because it's hard to even know how to get away from it, and so like we need to get you out of there basically. Okay, so Flint has got to find you and he's got to crawl to you. So it's definitely
still send Rascal, or you can try.
Yeah, but the immediate thoughts I would have about why you'd be calling to like you called for me, so his thought is that there's something really dangerous that Rascal would not immediately be able to help with, like I don't think he would assume that Rascal would be good enough, especially because you might be calling out because Flint is in danger where he is. His assumption is that he needs to get to where you are. And he's going to try. Okay. So he musters his weirdly like concussed self to somehow crawl to you.
So all upper body strength.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he's got that. I'm going to have him do some face danger to try and just clear that distance to you. But he's definitely going to have a negative here because of the fact that he's got to be crawling the whole way, and he's in a bad situation already, where his health is all the way down to 0. Like nothing is looking. I think was it 0 or yeah, it's 0. Nothing is really Flint's good situation right now. Like he's working against a lot uphill. So I'm waffling between a -1 or a -2. Honestly, on like this is hard. But it's not like he's like climbing up a wall or anything like that. He's just kind of like mostly going through twisted passages. So I think I'm just gonna say -1. Because as far as we know, it's not like there's even a time pressure of like getting there quick enough. He just needs to get there without something bad happening. So yeah, I'm gonna say this will be a. Oh, you know what? I've just occurred to me. You have had 2 failures, so I need to update your learn from failure track. Let me do that right now before I forget. And I was looking at my learn from failure track and like, yeah, I'm probably about to increase that a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 more on this. Ba-boop. All right, Flint, let's roll some iron with a -1 and see, can you make your way to Gray, or is it just too burdensome to try and do it with your legs not working? Face danger with iron with a -1. Well, let's see what happens. Complication. Oh, you know what? It was it's because of my negative momentum. We finally saw it happen. It says down there, my action die got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it's pretty bad. In fact, well, actually either way it would have been a complication. I rolled poorly enough that that actually would have been the case either way. Mm-hmm. And my momentum is down in the shitter, so there's no way I could possibly burn it. So yeah, a complication. I think he's clearly crawling after you. He's going to get himself in his own spot of trouble as a result. Something that happens. It's almost like the cave wanted you to call out to make him do this. Damn it. So let's see. What kind of bind does Flint wind up in the attempt to get to you?
Well, he's by that lake.
Yeah, I'm by the like. There's a few ways you could roll with it. It could be something that happens at the lake and keeps us separated. It could be I get to you and now the gas is just is doing its own thing as well, and something particularly bad happens. Like again, it's a full-on complication, not a miss. So I want to make sure it's bad enough. It's good to strike that right balance of like not too punishing to just be just utterly kicking somebody when he's down, but you know a complication did happen. But yeah, something lake-wise could have happened. Maybe indeed just like once again the cave sort of like makes another incline that just he tries to keep up but just like slides. It gets to a spot where he then like slides into the acidic lake, and is now just like fighting to get out of there with no legs. At which point maybe, or not no legs, but no working legs. At which point maybe you would be like calling to Rascal to like try and get to you. So yeah, I think Flint is in the lake. It's starting to eat away. The acid is starting to eat away since he's like fully submerged in there. So I'm going to take another hit to health, which unfortunately is going to come out of my momentum because I don't have any health. This is a bad time right now. Boom, that goes down. Momentum is now at a -3. I'm going to endure the harm, but it's probably not going to help. Let's see. This cave may well be the end of us. This may be the end of our adventure. Like I'm legitimately starting to get a little bit scared. We're running low on a lot of things. We've had a long journey, but things are looking pretty bad. But maybe that will inspire us to truly get out of here. Where's the thingy? Suffer moves. There we are. Endure harm. Let's see. Use your iron. Yeah, okay. I have a miss. Now, on a miss on Endure Harm, first I suffer one more momentum loss, so I'm down to -4 momentum. It's going to be quite the hole to dig myself out of. And if I'm at 0 health, which I am, I must mark wounded or maimed if currently unmarked, or roll on this oracle table. So I've actually am not wounded or maimed, so I could just take wounded right now, which is probably the good play here. Like the acid starts sizzling into me. Maybe it's a spot that's even more acidic than like kind of the edge. Like I get a little bit. Like if you just a little bit, it'll be slowly, but once I'm fully submerged, it starts just like maybe the cave even like increases the acidity. Like it seems like it's not so bad until you're fully in it, and then it just starts really sizzling and eating away at you. So I'm starting to get acid burns all over my body. So I'm going to mark that debility. I am now wounded, which is a shame. A real fucking shame. I want to see, because I've got a lot of bad conditions now. In theory, my momentum max and reset and everything is going down pretty high. I just want to make sure, like, I can't remember if there's an upper limit or if just everyone that you have just makes it that much worse. I want to look real quick, because I had reason with something I saw to think that there might be an upper limit, but it could have just been a bug in the way the Roll20 sheet works. So give me a second here. Abilities, here we are. Okay, each marked ability reduces your max momentum by 1. If you have 1 marked ability, your momentum reset is at +1. So yeah. Okay. I see, yes. If you have more than 1 marked ability, your momentum reset is 0. Okay. So my momentum reset doesn't get any worse, but my maximum does keep going down. So I've got 3 conditions right now that are screwing me up, which means that instead of... Oh, sorry. Wait. 3 or... Oh, right, 3, and then my Oathbreaker counts as another one. So my max momentum is now 6. Not that I'm anywhere near it right now anyway, so, you know, whatever. It's not really going to come up for a little while. Not until I take care of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So max is now 6. Oof. Let me, on the Roll20, Similarly, give myself the all the abilities. I'm wounded. Okay. Flint starts getting really burned there, and while he's going to still keep trying to save himself, like he's not helpless, I think now he thinks he's hoping that maybe you're in a better spot than he is, and he's going to have Rascal try and take a message to you. Like, he needs Rascal to tell you, like, no, I need you back now. So he calls to Rascal while, like, kicking and trying to tread water in here while being eaten away. Like, Rascal, you got to get Gray back here. And he's going to keep trying to get out, but Rascal flies off in the way you went to try and get to you. I want to do one more roll as Flint to see if he can just get out of the acid real quick, and then we'll get back to you. I think, unfortunately, like I could call this an iron roll because it's a real physical, like just swimming. I guess in a world like this, where I guess fewer people know how to swim, but we are still heroes. Do you think it's more about like the strength and like it's physical and just swimming is iron, or is it about the kind of grace of like really coordination to be able to swim? In which case it would be more like edge.
Oh, you really fell in that water if you find yourself having to swim.
Yeah, no, like I think it rolled me pretty far in, and just like maybe there's even like a slight current or something that pulls me, trying to get me more into the center of this lake, and so I'm like fighting against it, as a way to make this feel fully like a complication. It's just like this.
So many complications.
I know. I think I'm going to be nice to myself and say that iron will get me out of this. Just the brute force swimming against this current will get me out of here. Though again, with no legs, I feel like I've got to take a -1 on this because like I'm missing a good part of what would help me swim. I'm very hindered if I'm using only my arms. So here we go. Iron face danger.
You can do it, Flynn.
Iron face danger with a -1. I definitely can't count on momentum. I think no matter what the results of this, we're going to cut back to you and see what happens as Rascal gets to you. So let's see. Iron -1. Whew, yeah, now again, my action die was canceled, which really sucks, because that would have been really good. I could have gotten a weak hit, but once again, this is why you don't like negative momentum. I rolled a 4, and because my momentum is -4, that's just gone. It matched, so it went out of there. So instead, I got a 1, and if I didn't have that -1, it would have been a weak hit. That's all I needed, was just, if I had my legs, I would have been okay. But with this miss, I think it's clear that I'm not getting my way out. It's the current is too strong.
Yeah.
I'm failing to get out of here, and I think I'm pulled deeper in. Like I'm losing ground and getting more into the middle of this acid lake. Which, yeah. I'm not going to... I don't think that I should immediately take more health damage, because we talked about how it's not, like, that quickly acidic. Like, I think that is certainly a big problem right now, and there are going to be more burns as it goes on. But since on a miss I can just fail, and the failure was to get out of this lake, I think I'm just going to go with that. Where for the moment, Flint has failed to get out, and has gotten deeper in, and it's going to be difficult to find a way out. But it's going to be a little bit more time before the acid truly burns again. Like it's in progress. It's still sizzling through. Let's cut to Rascal flying in. Now, how do you see Rascal in your hallucinogenic form? We should find...
Probably terrifying.
Yeah, I guess that's another question for the Oracle. Or maybe a wits roll or something to see, like, can you figure out that this is Rascal as opposed to some, like, weird hallucination? That this is a good thing.
That it doesn't last very long, and I've made attempts to get far away enough from source of the gas that I'm not getting full on, like, it's starting to clear up a bit. But yeah, I probably
Already?
still see him as threatening. I mean, I don't know how much time has passed, but I think you're right. Yeah, with rolling the oracle.
I think we should either roll the oracle to just get a yes or no, or have you, like, your wits are really good. We could just have you use your wits to try and just see through and like just clear your head a little bit, um, which might even be kind of like a secure an advantage, I guess, to like take that moment to just concentrate and like focus through all of the weirdness. So I think you have the you have high enough wits to have that sort of make sense. Like you're aware of the world. You're good at this.
Okay.
So let's see. If this is successful, then yeah, you've cleared up the world enough to, at the very least, recognize Rascal for Rascal and that he's not a threat. And he's like a lifeline in this. So here we go. Let's have you roll a. Still navigating myself around this kind of slightly new layout on the sheet. I'm getting more used to it, but it still takes a moment. Mm-hmm. Secure an advantage with wits. But the dice aren't a fan. It is a miss. Now, thankfully, secure an advantage is a little bit less punishing on a miss than like face danger. So you fail or your assumptions betray you, which I think, the assumptions betray you would make a lot of sense, where indeed, like, Rascal seems like a threat. Like I don't know, there's a flying creature coming out you at the air that seems threatening. Do you think it looks like that bat that you got away from in the forest, or is it like something else? Like what would be coming at you that would...
I probably do think it's some kind of bat or just demon creature.
Yeah, it's like larger than life bat, glowing eyes, or something, like big menacing red eyes or something like that.
Yeah. Raven's already big to begin with, but in the distortion, he probably looks even bigger.
Yeah, and it's like casting a larger shadow than expected, or I guess we need to remember that we have. Oh, that was the other thing. I forgot. We have no light other than your glowing hands, and Flint was trying to just go in pitch blackness. Maybe that's part of why he fell in. It's just like just a little bit of incline and throwing off his expectation of where he was, and he just like fell right into the lake. So yeah, I think your hands are coming, like they're, the light's coming from here and it's over there. So like it's casting this elongated shadow that's all the more, makes it look all the bigger, and maybe the shadows even looks like it's kind of flickering a little bit, and just strange. So yeah, as far as you know, there's this monster flying at you, the big monstrous bat. So what do you do?
I think at this point I just like cover myself, and I'm terrified, and I try to hide from it. I don't really know what else to do because I can't focus enough to use any defense mechanism other than just like curling in fetal position.
Right. So you start trying to hide and like avoid it. Now, obviously, we know Rascal isn't actually trying to hurt you. So I imagine with enough time, eventually that becomes clear. Like, obviously, this thing isn't harming you. I think the real cost here is just that because of this assumption betraying you, it takes more time before that becomes clear, and that's all time that Flint is floundering in the acid.
Yeah, I like to think that Gray recognizes she needs to let time pass for this to...
Yeah, you can't trust your senses.
So...
Well, then, yeah, like... Probably... So maybe that starts happening, like, you're kind of waiting for the world to clear up a little bit, but because of that, Flint is a little bit more left to his own devices while that's happening. So let me do one more, just like... I guess now is kind of when it's been enough time. He's like sucked in the middle. I'm going to take a hit to the health one more time and then see if he can save himself. Let's see here.
Is there anything else in the lake, or is it just all?
I think that's what he's going to find out. That's what he's going to try and find out next. It's hard to see for one though, because it's pitch black. But I'm probably going to have him roll into just trying to use his second sight to just find some saving grace here, like something that he can do. Because he's obviously not swimming out well enough. So the acid burns a little bit. It takes a hit to the momentum because I don't have any health to take it from. I need to endure harm once more. Where is it? Suffer moves. They're indeed suffering right now.
We're all suffering.
Oh yeah. No, I got a bad feeling about this. Okay, it's at least a weak hit, so I don't have to do the whole like getting more wounded or anything like that. It's just nothing really happens beyond the momentum loss I already had. So it's just, losing ground. It's sizzling away. My flesh is starting to kind of bubble and get bad, especially because I had all those open cuts and everything already. So like it's like inside and out. It's not great. It's a good thing that this acid is still relatively weak, so it's not just like immediately like corroding me away into nothingness. It just really burns. So yeah, I'm gonna try and gather information. Like it's sort of like a last ditch sort of defense mechanism. Flint knows that this is bad, and like without a miracle here, like he very well might die. So his eyes sort of like focuses into this other world to try and find anything, something non-physical that, or just something that he can't otherwise tell about that might be able to help him here. Looking for, like, whether it's a spot where things are less acidic or a way to potentially communicate with anything here that might be able to say it, just something. He's just desperate. Looking around for anything he can find to be able to use it. So because of its sightedness, I can at least give myself a +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. So let's see. I'm going to use my wits. Try and take this moment here. What can I do? So, where's gather information? There we are. Gather information. Wits with a +1. I turn on the eyes and... oh, thank God. And get a strong hit. Okay. So, I get +1 momentum on a hit. So, first off, I take 2 momentum just for getting a strong hit. That's just part of the move in general. I take an additional 1 because of my sightedness. So let's go from -5 back up to -2. That's a start. Okay, the path I must follow or the action I must take to make progress is clear. So I find something, some way out of the situation that becomes clear, and we need to figure out what it is. I can ask the Oracle if unsure.
Is there like an island of
That's what I was thinking, that there's maybe something sticking out above the surface, some way to just like, sure, I'm still in the middle of everything, but I could use the current to get towards them and then just like climb out, and it would buy me time. Is I think kind of what we're looking for here. And maybe the reason why the sightedness helps them is just because those stalagmites or like the whatever rock formation is sticking out up from the water, which probably looks all weird and pocked from the acid, maybe has some of the crystals in it as well, and so they stand out all the more to his eyes when he's looking for them. And yeah, so I'm going to try one last kind of like, can I pull myself up out of the water and just hold on to him and just wait for your return? It's something. Some way to keep myself safe. So, one final just like face danger move to grab, it's another going to be another iron thing, and again, probably with a -1 just because of no legs helping me. Climb up out of the acid and hold on, just wait. So let's see. Then we'll get back to you, and your head will be a little bit more clear, and we can continue with you and Rascal. iron with a -1 is a miss. So it's there, but
wait, I thought you got strong hit.
I did on gathering information to know what I had to do.
Oh, gathering information.
Yeah, I still have to do it. Now, again, it doesn't mean that I necessarily fail, but it could be in the same way as like you were able to get the crystals, but something else happened. I think I'm more interested in doing a similar kind of thing where it's like, sure, I do it, but maybe this being holding on to these things isn't all it's cracked up to be. So my progress is undermined by a dramatic and costly turn of events. So let's say that indeed, like I've managed to grab on and I've climbed up and I'm out of the acid, but there's something not great about this. Whether that's like that they're actually, like I was wondering if maybe they like once I grab on, they start like sinking down or something, and so there's like a ticking clock or something else that could be part of this. Let's see.
Maybe they just break apart really easily because they're pocked and they kind of crumble.
Oh yeah, it could be that. And so at that point, I'm right back in the acid, which is basically just the failure state. But or it could just be like that they are indeed that fragile, and it'll be just like a. And if I'm not supremely careful, that will happen. Like it's only very temporary safety. So just to keep things from going too bleak too quickly, I'm trying to look for some way to have it be like success, but not a.
There's so many misses. Like I'm getting
frustrated. Well, right now I'm having the problem. I'm kind of in a situation where, one, my momentum is so low, and two, I'm having to rely on things that I can't do very well right now. But it could be. Yeah, let's go with that. I think that because it's been so acid eaten away, like this is a very temporary solution. I can already hear it like creaking and cracking, and these are gonna crumble into the water, like, or not water, but the lake pretty soon. This is only very temporary shelter, as opposed to if I had been successful, maybe like it's resilient and it's fine. But like this is already getting really, really thin. There's not a lot of time up here. So, let's get back to Gray and your head clearing, and you're there with Rascal. The Rascal is like flapping in your, like clearly trying to get your attention, like tugging at your clothes and like pecking at you, doing his typical sort of Rascal type of stuff, being a jerk, but in a frantic sort of like, it seems almost like he's not just doing it just to be a jerk, but is like upset about something. And because it focuses in your mind as Rascal, and the world starts being a little bit less weird. So, what's happening?
I think at that point I just try to wrap up the crystal in maybe some torn material from my clothing and tie it around Rascal or have him carry it in a way and just be like, get this to Flint. Just take this to Flint. I don't even know if there's any hope of him being able to use it, but I.
Okay. And indeed,
especially
we don't.
If I'm sensing something's wrong with Rascal.
At the very least, you pick up that clearly Rascal is distressed by something. But yeah, I think you could do that part easily enough. The question will indeed be like, are just the raw crystals completely unprepared? Like, is that enough to do anything? We don't really know. But Rascal can do that. Can fly off with them. Is there anything else that you do in this moment?
I just try to see if I can stand without, because I imagine it's gonna still take some time to wear off.
Right.
I'm probably gonna still be a little bit disoriented, but yeah, just try to find my way back to Flint.
Okay.
Maybe Rascal can lead the way.
Yeah, I think easily enough. Like, we're not that far, and you found a place. I would even say that since you've already it didn't take that long to find where you needed to go. You weren't that far away, and you've done it before. That I don't even know if there's necessarily a roll involved here to just retread those steps. I think you can get back there.
Okay. Get back there and discover you're not in the spot I left you.
Exactly. I'm not in the spot.
It's like, what the fuck?
Well, but your hands are still glowing, and Flint would be able to see that from the lake. So he'd see you as a light in the darkness and desperately be hoping that, especially because he's been kind of leaning into the second sight right now, all the harder, he'd see that familiar glow of your hands and be desperately hoping it's you. And so you hear a call out from across the water, just like, Gray! Gray! Help! I got pulled into the lake. Like, hey.
I just say, God damn it, Flint. There's one thing after another with you. No,
I'm above the surface for now, but I can hear it cracking beneath me. There's not much time. And then, like, Rascal flies over to, with the crystals and, like, kind of drops it toward, and I think he's, like, too desperately holding on right now. I don't think he can really take them without letting go. Or doesn't trust himself to be able to anyway.
That was kind of pointless for you to give him the crystals. I just shout, Flint, hang on!
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you out of there. And I just have
hurry. Yeah, me neither. We could do some gathering information or something. Like try and find something in this room to help out.
Are there any is there anything I can knock over that maybe might help get me out to there, walk out to
right, like
him?
some kind of makeshift raft, or
are there like pillars of rock? Or
this is when it is a good opportunity to do. We do this as a gather information roll. You're searching the area and trying to indeed basically ask this question to find something helpful and specific, kind of like me finding the rocks out of there.
Is there anything you can knock over to bridge me to Flint? I'm gonna search around.
Yeah.
For that.
Let's see. So let's have you roll a gather information. Thankfully, your wits are really good, and let's see what happens. Oh, you know what? It occurs to me. I screwed up before with my gather information. I roll. We can see it right here. I rolled it from yours. You have better wits than me. When
Oops.
I rolled yours. In theory, that should be two. That should be two lower. So it's. I'll adjust my momentum accordingly. But it's. In theory, I should have had a weak hit, not a strong hit, because yeah, I rolled with your stats. I just noticed that. Let me see. What would gather information be on a weak hit? The information.
I'll just take one of yours.
The information complicates your quest and introduces a new danger. Okay, so my momentum should be one lower, and then yeah, there's something more complicated about my situation. Maybe indeed there's something in the water, like there's just something swimming around there, like the equivalent of like an acid shark or whatever. Something I don't even know what it is. There's something moving around. It's bad.
Maybe it's like the tongue of the beast.
Yeah, I like that, like a long tentacle or something that wants to like wrap your leg and just pull you down. Yeah. There's something whipping around in the water. It was the complication of what I learned. There. Now we're set on. We've made it all.
It's a tongular thing.
Yeah, let's reset. Yeah. Exactly. Now this time we are rolling with your wits, and yours are good. So let's see if we can get another strong hit. So wits and. Okay, well, you got a... Oh, so close. Almost got a strong hit. But you got a weak hit. It's going to be that same thing. You're going to find something, but it's going to complicate this quest a little bit. You'll take +1 momentum, which is good.
So maybe it's just like a really tall stalagmite.
I was imagining that, but it's hard to knock over.
It's narrow. Oh.
Or it could be that, yeah. It's just like hard to balance.
I can't balance on it very
well. Why don't we go with that? I like that. It's just, it'll do it. It'll bridge over there. But yeah.
And they get more, stalagmites, stalactites, they get narrower and narrower. It might be a really huge one, but
Yeah, to get
maybe
all the way out there.
And it's closer to where he is, and that's why it's a higher risk.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go
Or
with
maybe it
that.
doesn't
So
reach him all the way.
I gave you, which one? Let's see, which one? Because those are both interesting ideas. It either just like getting close but not all the way, and so you'd have to. I think I'd rather it just get narrow.
I like that it's just hard to balance on the further out I get.
Me too.
It's close enough to hit once I get
let's
there.
go with that one. Because otherwise, we're kind of in a weird fuck situation where like you'd get almost all the way there, and then you'd have to like jump out to him, and that's not really all that helpful. And the whole point is you did find something. So yeah, you found one. You can break
it's really
it.
tall.
But
How tall is it? 15 feet, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something like that, where he's just enough out there, it's gotten deep and everything, but... so, it is narrow enough that you can break it, but the flip side of that is, of course, it's narrow enough it's hard to balance on. And so, yeah, you find that. Let's... so I assume, yeah, you knock it over, and now you're trying to get out there and balance and grab him. Before, and like clearly what he's on it's cracking, crumbling, it's like it's all happening very cinematically. It's starting to fall. You got like just a moment. The time is now, so face danger with edge, I guess.
Sure.
Unless there's something else, like another preparation or like anything you're doing really quickly to try and have better results, but I haven't personally thought of anything.
No. Not that at this point. The only other thing I can think of is maybe she tries to find like something to balance, like some kind of pole or like stick. But I don't know if she has much time.
Yeah, like if it's starting to crack and fall, it might just be that there's not enough time. Unless you're willing to wait until he's in the water. And,
no, I don't.
Okay.
I already know it's acid, so I'm feeling hurried.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Edge. Hey, okay, a weak hit, not bad. It's a bad stat for you, and you rolled really well.
So I made it across.
You did. So weak hit on face danger is the one where something is going to go down, whether it's your momentum, health, spirit, or supply. Like something, there's some cost to doing it, but you're able to do it. Health would obviously make a lot of sense if indeed like your foot has to dangle in the acid, like you kind of like misstep along the way or something. But it could just be a momentum thing that just if we
where's my momentum?
Right now it's at +3, so like you're starting to build it towards something. So it would be kind of a shame to bring that down. Your health is at 2. Your spirit and supply are already at 0. So either of those would just take it from your momentum anyway.
It would make sense if she slipped a bit if it was getting narrower.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not the most dexterous person. So yeah, maybe you like take a slip, tumble, and like you catch yourself. You don't fully fall in, but like there's a moment where like your arm is like shoulder deep in the acid before you pull it back out, and it's just like kind of you get back to your feet and it like keeps sizzling away as you go. But I think we can wrap this whole thing in. Like the whole success was really just getting to Flint and getting him out of there, and I think you have done that. Like that was the danger. It's not like, all right, face danger in, now face danger out. Like we can wrap this all up into one. Like it was all really one danger thing you were trying to do, and you were successful.
Yay!
Also, all right, I'm just gonna have to go through at the very end to count the various failures and stuff we've had and adjust our learning from failure tracks. I keep forgetting to do it in the moment, but there's a record. I'll just go back through and do it at the end. I'll just keep in mind. Oh, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take away the 2 that I put on your track just so that I don't double count it, because I'm just going to go back from the beginning and give us everything at the end.
Okay.
So I'm not literally taking it away from you. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't screw that up. So congratulations. Let's take that hit to your health and make you endure harm real quick, as it sizzles at you just a little bit. Yeah, it's not a great feeling, and clearly as you grab Flint and and help him out of there, his he's clearly been rather bubbled up, and like he was in it. He's not looking great, and he wasn't beforehand. It burns, but hey, we're all there with Rascal. We're out of the lake, and maybe there was even like the tongue thing kind of like flicked up and like trying to grab at us, but didn't manage to get you. Like you're able to step out of the way of it.
This is kind of weird, but I imagine the tongue as like kind of like it mushrooms out in all directions.
Oh, like kind of splits.
Almost like not even necessarily splits, but it like, because the lake is kind of in a circular shape, it would kind of mushroom out in a disc kind of way. I don't know. I'm seeing it.
Do you mean it like there's just like a bunch of different tongues on the bottom, or
no? It's like one singular tongue that like starts disking out. Like it can kind of like expand out.
Okay.
It's not. It's more like clam-like. It's more like a clam-like tongue.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because of the shape of the lake.
That's cool.
Maybe it's just like really dexterous too.
Okay, you get a weak hit on endure harm, so nothing changes. The acid is eaten at you, and then we move on.
Sweet.
All right, that was
good thing I gave the crystals to
exactly.
They might have fallen into the lake.
That's true. There was no chance of losing that because Rascal is indeed holding on to him. Yeah. So we all reconvene at the border of the lake, and or maybe a little bit farther away from it, but like on the ground is what I mean.
Yeah. And we're just fucked up right
now. Yeah, we need an opportunity to rest up. Like, we need to get better. But first things first, the whole point of this was to get a way to cure Flint's paralysis, because that's going to help out a lot of other problems that we've been having right now. So,
well, maybe the crystal heals other things too. We don't know.
Yeah. But
because you got those wounds from the acid.
I mean, I don't think that I haven't envisioned the crystal as being specifically like all that healing on its own. I think it's more that it's magical, and you as a like herbalist and like magical user know how to channel that energy into healing. So I think it's more you that are like, it's almost like it's a battery in a sense, and you're just able to channel that well. The crystal on its own probably would be more harmful than anything in the hands of a lot of people. But why don't we have you roll there's a heal roll. You can when you attempt to heal using herbal remedies, and I mean technically, well, I guess we can't use your herbalist because it's not herbal, as we determined.
Yeah.
Oh, also, and you have at least +1 supply, which you don't. So there's all sorts of reasons why we can't use your herbalist, but you can still use these crystals to heal. This is when you treat an injury or ailment, roll plus wits. If you're mending your own wounds, which you're not, you would have to roll wits or iron, whichever one is lower. So you don't want to be healing yourself. But you're healing me. So let's see. What can you do for me? Strong hit. Thank you. So, on a strong hit, your care is helpful. If you, or the ally under your care, have the wounded condition, you may clear it. Then take or give up to +2 health. So, there's a number of things you're helping here. One, Flint was indeed wounded from the acid, so you're helping, like, soothe with the crystal and everything, like, channeling some magics through it. So let's get rid of that debility, which will help. Boom. No more wounded. So my maximum momentum is back up to 7. Which is its own sort of niceness to begin with. But there's also... Okay, I'm sorry, I'll find the thing. Where are debilities? So I'm not wounded anymore. And you can give up to 2 health, so heal me from 0 health up to 2. Also awesome.
Hey.
Big fan of that. That's gonna help keep things from being so immediately dire. As we like take this moment to really like, what does it look like when you use this? Is it indeed sort of like that real world type of thing where it's like crystals like placed on spots? Because we know they're really sharp.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Is it more like you kind of
it.
like break it and like take its energy, or what does this look
I
like?
at first I thought I took it and like crushed it somehow.
Yeah,
I imagine like, crushing it in between some rocks so it's no longer sharp.
right. It's just kind of like more powdered.
And then and then yeah, maybe mixing it with I don't know, something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
almost even just like
Maybe I have
you
to
could easily
just
mix it with blood. We got plenty of that.
yeah, or maybe saliva. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But okay, so yeah, it's more that you crush it and then use it as a component that way and just kind of channel your hands. And it all works together into a big glowy kind of healing thing. And because of the exact situation and like my paralysis was already a really mean thing. Like ordinarily heal wouldn't cure paralysis, but ordinarily we also wouldn't be paralyzed. So
Mhm.
I consider it all part of just this whole situation. The heal will also restore that because the whole point was that you were trying to find something that would do that. You found the component. Story wise, we have the reason. It courses through, patches up whatever like coagulant was in the blood that was making my then like digging into the muscles that were not allowing me to use my legs. And slowly, I start
Oh,
getting.
and
What's up?
I did use my book, right? Like I think
Oh, I'm sure
that's
that's part of it.
okay.
I mean,
Sorry. I'm just trying to envision I'm still trying to envision how I'm using this to heal. But yeah.
if you want to have been kind of going back and forth with the book, I'm sure that that makes some sense as well. Um, but Flint is no longer paralyzed and is a little bit more healed and is just breathing a sigh of relief of just the soothing nature is just has been so manageable. He really thought he was about to die, and he's already done that before in a sense, so he knows what it looks like. But we need an opportunity. Like that was a start, but you need help too. Like we all need a chance to rest. This is a
Yeah.
very like this environment sucks and is dangerous, and I hate the idea
Yeah.
of like camping here. But I think we're gonna need
Yeah.
to. Um, Now here's what's we're camping. We'd have to roll with our supply, which we don't have any. But I think we're allowed to do it. We're just gonna be sucky at it. Let me check that real quick. Some moves we have. Yeah, make camp. Well, we can't resupply, but yeah, it doesn't say anything about not being able to camp. We don't have the supplies to do it well. So we're like all we can do is like indeed like huddle up against the walls or something. Like we can't really erect any kind of shelter or make a fire and eat something. Like we can't rest as well as we might be able to if we were fully supplied. But maybe, just maybe, if we make camp well enough, we'll be able to get some of our stats back up just a little bit. Um, so Flint recommend. He's like, Gray, I need a moment. I'm way in my head right now. I need to sit down for a while and just, you know, I can't keep going right now. I'm fucking
You and me both.
terrified. Then
You and me both. Take all the time you need.
so we
We're gonna need it.
so we take a few hours and we make camp. So let's see how we do. We've got no supply, but you've at least got a little bit of momentum to maybe save us. Hopefully, it won't be necessary. Let's see. It's a miss. Um, so we on a miss, we take no. We don't have the supplies to like. We're in this weird place, and there's all the like the noises are still weird. The everything is still super creepy and unsettling. It's just we take the hours, but we get no rest from it. Like it just doesn't help. We want to like we're hoping to maybe settle our nerves or be able to heal up, but like the cave just won't allow it. There's just nothing. Uh, it's too unsettling to camp here. I forgot to give myself the +2 health there. I did it in Roll20, but I didn't do it there. So yeah, at a certain point, it just dawns on us that it's just like, it's just not how, like, no, something about this place. I just can't get out of my head. I'm too terrified. Like, I want to fall. I wanted to like rest and go to sleep, but I was too scared to because I'm like, if we fall asleep, like, who knows what it's gonna do? Like, we're just so vulnerable that I just can't get any rest. And at some point, Flint just turns over to you and it's just like, have you been able to sleep?
No, not a wink.
Me neither.
I hate this cave, Flint.
We gotta get out. I'm not gonna be able to rest comfortably until we're out of here. And in a nice place where I can get a hot meal. Because, like, stomachs are probably rumbling at this point, too. Like, we haven't eaten in a while. Like, we don't have any rations anymore. It's like until... and it's, like, probably cold in here, too. It's all wintry. Just bundle up.
I thought we said it was warm in the cave.
I can't remember. At the very least, we're hungry.
Yeah.
Get a nice hot meal. And a bed to lie down on. And some place where there aren't goddamn crabs ready to... I keep hearing them clacking around, and I don't even know if they're screeching. I can't tell if they're there or if it's just in my head. But I'm not getting any rest. And if you're not either, then I guess we might as well press on. Just get out of here as quickly as we can.
Okay, let's do it.
So, I imagine we kind of resume sort of what we did in the beginning, we're about to get going, and then Flint just realizes, what about Thornberry?
We gotta get him. Let's send Rascal to see if he can find Thornberry and kind of like lead us back to him.
Okay. Let's see. I guess we can easily enough send Rascal, and then maybe that even happened while we were like resting, and he's like getting back to us now, and we'll find out like, did Rascal find Thornberry? Let's ask the Oracle. Did they find each other? I think it's likely. Like, we know where Thornberry was, and I don't think Thornberry would have been moving around all that much. Like, he was kind of trapped, and probably not just...
probably exhausted.
Yeah, not going to just, like, explore a lot. So I'd rate this as likely. So let's see. And yet, even if we had rated this as almost certain, no, something's happened. Like,
no.
Either something's happened to Thornberry, or Rascal can't remember how to get back, or just, for whatever reason, they did not find each other.
Well, imagine Rascal comes back.
Yeah, no, Rascal comes back. I meant, like, comes back to Thornberry, like, couldn't find him. Couldn't find his way back to Thornberry. Came back to us, but just, like, wasn't able to find him. And it just has that sort of just... We would be expecting a kind of excitement and, like, a follow me sort of energy that we're just not getting.
Yeah.
And Flint is just like, I don't think he found him, Gray. He'd be his excitable jerk self if he did. But that doesn't mean that we can't. He, like, claps at his legs, and especially now that we've rested for a couple of hours, like, I've got the feeling back. I'm ready to climb back up. The two of us together can find him and get the hell out of here. What do you say?
Well, if we climb back up, we won't be able to get out that way because the cave was blocked. But I still really want to find Thornberry.
There's more ways than this passage. When we were tumbling, or when I was tumbling down, I saw that there were other passages. We don't have to go down this way. Maybe another one will be more helpful. I say we go up there, and then see where we can get that's not going down to an acid lake, cave, digestion, whatever the hell. It's like spits on the ground out here.
Lead the way, Flint.
And before he does, this comes in form partly just because I, as a player, really need to pee. But like, I imagine Flint's just like,
I actually have to as well.
If Flint is like, if this is gonna be a fucking acid lake, I'm gonna add my own acid to it and just like pisses in the lake real quick, and shakes it off and is like, let's go. So we gotta climb back up this slope, and it got pretty steep at times. So I think this is definitely, like, getting back up to where Thornberry was is certainly going to be its own kind of challenge. But I think we could certainly do this together. Like, I don't think it's the type of thing like we both have to do our own kind of face danger role. I think it's like one of us is kind of be leading the way, and we'll see how well we can do it. You
can lead the way, Flint.
I would love if you like try to secure an advantage with some wits to like find a good path first. Like, kind of chart out like, okay, we get up to that handhold, and then like kind of figure out a way that makes sense. Might help us out.
Sure, I can do that. Is that what Flint wants me to do?
Yeah, like I can certainly climb ahead. I'm more than willing to do that, but your eyes are just a lot better than mine. If you can help me figure out the way to climb, I can climb it.
Well, I'll light the way, and yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll do my best.
Okay. So, Gray does a secure an advantage roll. Where do we have it? Where do we have it? All the way up here. Secure an advantage. And be doing this with your wits. Take that opportunity to really chart out a path. With a strong hit, thankfully. These words can still exist. Now, I assume like, we're doing this as an aid to your ally, since the whole point was you're charting out the path for Flint. So the benefits of this will go to him. Unless, indeed, you still want to just lead the way. Because there's kind of two schools on this. Obviously, Flint is stronger, but you'll wind up with higher momentum. But I think, like, fictionally, it probably makes more sense, like Flint leading the way at least as a stronger climber. So let's see. Strong hit. Can take control, make another move now, and add +1, or take +2 momentum. Well, I certainly need to get my momentum out of the shitter. It would still be a -1 even then, but if I don't pull this out of here, it's never going to be helpful. So I think I'm going to take the momentum boost and be like, you've helped me prepare to act. I'm going to move this back up and adjust my own momentum and roll 20. Back up to there. Okay. You've helped chart out a path. Now I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Flint is doing this in a way that kind of gets us both up there safely and like based mostly on his strength. It honestly could even be like Flint would be willing to try and carry you on his back, but I don't know if Gray would feel the need to do that. So, like, if we had rope, then I'd
if we're both healed.
Yeah, if we
should be able to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, if we had rope or something, I could see just like Flint climbs up to the top and then just like secures a rope, and then it's easy enough for you to get up there.
We don't have anything.
We're out of supplies. So I don't know. I think it's just going to be it's pieces along the way. Like Flint climbs up a little bit, finds like ledges and stuff that you've pointed out to, enough that he can like reach a hand down, help pull you up to there. Like it's kind of piece by piece.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's not just like a flat surface all the way that it's just like, all right, climb this entire rock wall. It's just kind of like, climb up to this point. All right, I'm leaning down. It's piece by piece. All right, so let's make an iron face danger for Flint to help get us up to the top. All right, weak hit. So it's the one where something's going to go down along the way. I'm going to take a hit to my spirit as a just like, the more time we spend in this cave, and this is slow going to do it, the more I'm just like losing faith that we'll ever get out of here and that we're just pushing against our tomb. Plus, I've got all of the whole, like, I know that this is all just part of this first step in a big, like, epic sort of quest against death. Like, there's a lot of things that suck about being Flint right now, and it's just all hitting home. And since he has a lot of, like, maybe it's really silent along the way, and he just has too much of an opportunity to really get in his head about everything. And so, like, trying to focus on the task, but his mind is just going everywhere, and it's all the stress starts adding up. So I take my hit to spirit.
Maybe he snaps at me more.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe, yeah, like you do something that
Grumpy.
Yeah, that I wasn't expecting, and we were just kind of snapping at each other a little bit. We're both just getting irritated because we're hungry and we weren't able to sleep, and it's all dispiriting. That makes sense. Let me just adjust my spirit on here and do an endure stress roll real quick. Let's see how well I take it.
This was not the spelunking adventure I had hoped for.
I mean, this place sucks, so, you know.
Why are there so many complications?
I rolled the best I possibly could. I rolled a 6. Unfortunately, the challenge dice also rolled the best they possibly could. This is a double 10 complication on me enduring stress. Now, thankfully, that's what it's on. Like, it's not like it's not the climbing that went so terribly wrong. It's a very Flint specific thing. It's how well I take the stress. Obviously, something really snaps, and like all of this pressure adds up, and I can honestly see just going straight towards like. First of all, let me take a look at endure stress. Like on a miss. First of all, I suffer -1 momentum, which sucks. I was just building that up a little bit. And if I'm at 0 spirit, which thankfully I'm not, I must mark shaken or corrupted and roll on the table below. I think because, like, I'm not at 0, so I wouldn't ordinarily have to, but because it's a double 10 complication, I think, yeah, like, I think I take corrupted. Like, just something permanently shifts in my mind of just, there's just a darkness that blossoms of just, there's way too many bad things happening, and it's going to forever kind of scar his psyche. It's the only thing I can really think of that makes sense as a way that, like, to get a complication out of, that doesn't just completely derail everything out of just how well he endures stress. And he doesn't. It just snaps. And I think, like, maybe that's the part where indeed when I snapped at you and started yelling at you, like, it's actually, like, it gets really intense and it's clear, like, oh shit, this isn't just normal frustrations. Like, something is wrong.
Going down.
He is completely breaking down and almost becoming, it's almost like a feral sort of yelling. Like, it's bad. So yeah, let me take corrupted, which unfortunately that is a bane, and as opposed to condition like being shaken or wounded or whatever, banes don't go away. That is just, that's forever.
Shit.
Yeah. Like, I would take shaken, but I already have it, so I feel like it just adds up to so much. Give myself, adjust my max on that. Let me think, like, I want to figure out a little bit more about what specifically is the corruption. Like, as opposed to just like, I'm generally corrupted and I'm messed up now. Like, how does that manifest specifically? I like the idea of maybe there's this, maybe it's this, like, new, like, a dissociative identity type of thing where, like, there's this new Like there's Flint, and then there's this other person inside that like fragments into, and this other person is a lot meaner, or that there's something wrong with them. As one possibility of just corruption, almost like a Jekyll Hyde sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe he just starts pointing out everyone's flaws during that time. And just
and like grousing about Thornberry and how he's totally not worth it, and that all of
in an unusually negative way.
Yeah. Or like, and like criticizing you in a way that seems really unfair, like how much you put yourself on the line for Flint, but he starts going into how like he thought he could count on you, and like, God damn it, you were supposed to be able to. It's like it's a lot of muttering to himself. He's not like directly yelling at you, but he's supposed to be able to get me out of here, and how am I possibly trust you to take down the entire horde? Just call.
Maybe this is only triggered by stressful events too. So like the more stressful stuff that happens, the more he's gonna be like.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be an always thing, but it's always there in the back as a possibility. It's just fraying at the back of his mind that there's just this inner darkness now that sucks.
Yeah, I try to calm him down and say, "Hey, do you want to talk about it?"
Just full on snaps at you and just like, as if you could fucking help me. Or it's like whoa, like I'm carrying you all the way up here, and it's like pulls you a little too hard, and on that next ledge up, and just like almost yanks you up. Like it doesn't literally it doesn't like pull your shoulder out of socket or anything, but it's just like Jesus Christ.
But almost.
Yeah. And so it gets really quiet.
Yeah, Gray would just respond after that with dead silence. Like she would just be doing everything she could not to make him go off again.
Yeah. And I think eventually, it kind of cools down, and things, after enough silence, things settle a little bit, and he's not so on that edge. But there's like, our relationship is forever tainted by that, because there's always this like eggshell sort of fear of like, when's that going to come up again? Like, whoa, that was an ugly side. Yeah. And Flint probably knows that too, and like there's a part of him that's also just like feeling terrible about it, and just like, fuck, like same question, like holy shit, when's that coming out? Like, yeah, where did that come from? And it just fuels this additional silence of like, nobody wants to talk about it.
Maybe later on, when he's feeling more normal, he can talk to her about it.
Maybe, but things are just awkward right now. So we get up to the top, and obviously, Rascal wasn't able to find Thornberry, so we have the same question of like, why can't we find Thornberry? And like, he's not where we left him. So my imagining is that he probably like wandered off a little bit to a place where he felt safer, like just one of the other passages, like not down the slope, but there's something around here, and we just gotta look out a little bit and find him. Now, I think that we might be able to just like follow his tracks or something. Like Rascal couldn't do that, but we can look for signs of his passage and just do a gather information roll to be like, hey, where the fuck did he go?
Part of me wants to call out to him and see if he can hear me, but I'm also a little bit more weary at this point, just like, or wary.
Yeah.
Weary. I'm both of those.
Yeah, we're everything.
And if I were to call out, I might attract some other kind of.
Yeah, you never know. Especially because up here.
I just don't want any more of that to happen.
Especially because up here is when we were dealing with the crabs and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't we.
This cave is...
Just very quietly, like, it doesn't find Thornberry. Flint is gonna try and find his tracks, or he'll try and help you find them.
Yeah,
I think Flint will help you.
at the entrance of every passage we come across, we start to look for any signs that maybe he went down that one.
Yeah.
And if we don't see any tracks, we don't go down.
Well, your wits are better, so you're gonna have an easier job at doing this. So I can try and aid you somehow. But honestly, I guess with things as tense as they are, like, maybe Flint wouldn't even do that at the moment. It's just like he turns really inward, and just like shrugs his shoulders and like slaps his arms to his side. And it's just like, fuck, another thing went wrong. He's not even up here. And so Gray, yeah, I guess you start looking for tracks. And let's see what you find. Your wits are good. So we're going to gather information. There you go. Strong hit. Again.
Okay.
Which is good. You're going to take 2 momentum right away. So your momentum is actually building up towards something. Flint is still bad, but you still actually have something kind of going here. Some hope. God, at some point, the question is going to be, at what point is it just like Flint is just holding Gray back, and like it's like every move along the way, like you keep having to do so much to carry Flint's burden of like helping him destroy this cult and everything. Like, at what point is Gray just going to finally just be like, this is a toxic relationship. Like, this just isn't...
I don't know if that'll happen, but that certainly is a possibility, I guess.
We'll see. But for now, at least, you clearly find some tracks. You get the 2 momentum, and the path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. So I think it's, yeah, you find the tracks, we can follow them to find where Thornberry is. Easily, and like, we know which direction he went, so we can continue to delve the depths in that direction we'll find him along the way. Like, you've got the path that's clear, but who knows what dangers might be in the way.
Also, didn't one of us like iron swear that they wouldn't let the other down again or leave the other or something? I thought one of us did that.
I don't have that specifically marked on here. No, the only vows we've got are like, we may have said it or something, but the only vows we've got are like, I've got my son vow, and we're both going for like the obelisks, and then I've certainly got the like finding a way to appease death with a new deal that I'm working on. You're discovering the mystery of your glowing hands, the obelisks, and yeah, that's it in terms of vows.
Okay.
So nothing quite there. But why don't we get one more delve the depths in before we're just about at time here. Let's get kind of a closing, like, where do we wind up as we follow this track? And then we'll close out on that. I'm glad we're at least kind of back out of the worst of the shit, but this has been another kind of... This cave has really been kicking us.
Yeah.
It's a bad place to be in. It's no wonder that the wolves don't want to be in here.
Yeah.
Alright, where is... Delve moves. Here we are. Delve the depths. I guess same question as usual. Are we prioritizing speed? I imagine since we're following the trail, the wits thing of like really taking our time and being observant is probably what makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just since we're indeed following a track right now. Alright. Yeah. Okay, we got a weak hit on Delve the Depths, which is, we roll on the following table. So I'm going to roll a D100. Come on, roll the dice. It's taking a sweet time. 63. Oh, cool. This is a good one. We have a choice here. We can either mark progress, or we can find another opportunity. Which, I guess find an opportunity could easily be like, hey, there's Thornberry, but, or just find him, right? He didn't go all that far. Or we could mark progress and be all the closer to getting the fuck out of this cave.
Okay.
What's your preference between those two?
I mean, I want to find Thornberry.
Okay.
Because he's such an asset.
And I think it makes sense that he wouldn't be all that far away. Like, he would have only strayed so far. So again, like, down a little bit of twisting passages, he just finds like an alcove or something where he felt a little bit more like backed up and like secure, kind of like just a little mini cave, like a shelter to back into and be safe. Now, because the game has been so mean to us today, I'm gonna be even nicer. I'm gonna say that's true, and there's a table of opportunities to roll on. I'm gonna say it's two things. Like, it's like Thornberry is at whatever opportunity we find.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
So let's see. Maybe we can get something nice here. So find an opportunity. Let's see what we find. You locate an interesting or helpful object. Okay. So not only is Thornberry there, maybe Thornberry was drawn there by something. Like, there's something we find that Thornberry also found, and like kind of like maybe like hoofs it over, and like kind of brushes it towards us. Well, like kind of jostles
like,
it a
look
little.
what I
Yeah, like gestures to this thing that he found.
He's happy to see us, and oh, by the way.
So what did we find? What is helpful? Now, it could just be like some supplies or something that, which could be really helpful. Like, maybe it's one, indeed, like we talked about how maybe we'd find like somebody who went in here who, like, their pack or something where they died before they used up everything, and we could bring our supply up by one, which would definitely help us a lot. I think the lack of supply is really crippling us right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Thornberry just went into a spot where, like, unfortunately some old dead bodies or something, or maybe he found it along the way or whatever, but found a pack that was dropped behind that's actually got some, like, food and, like, spelunking gear. Like, it's not a lot. It's mostly empty, but there are things in there enough to actually get some supply.
Some jerky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would last a long time in the game. Some preserves and some jerky.
Just something. I mean, yeah, it's the same. It's road type stuff that's meant to last for a little while.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a narrative perspective the most interesting thing to find, but it's this, like, oasis in the desert that's been so much shit that we've had, of just, like, finally something good we found. And I imagine, like, we find it and just, like, almost, like, start tearing into just, like, oh my god, I'm starving. Like,
yeah.
And so we end the session actually having something of a meal, and importantly, increasing our supply up to +1, which will allow us to do things like resupply and make camp a little bit easier. Things might ease up on us just that little bit. So let me do that before I forget.
That's a positive note to end on.
It is. It's not the most dramatic, like, cliffhanger type of thing like we sometimes do, but it's just this moment of relief of there's still that little bit of light of hope of something good could happen.
Mm.
We found Thornberry. We found some supplies. And that's it for episode 26 of Ironsworn. Yeah, another kick in the nuts kind of session, but again, we've got that glimmer of hope that maybe there's a way out of all this. We might just...
Thanks, Thornberry.
Yeah, Thornberry found some cool stuff for us. I'm worried about that complication with, like, the personality break thing for Flint, though. Like, that's a real shame.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But Gray has a lot of heart, and I think she can handle it.
Care enough to just deal with, like, and probably has enough heart to recognize, like, it's not fully you're under that kind of pressure. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Gray, like, empathizes or not, but certainly is able to endure. So, on behalf of Flint, sorry. Was not expecting that complication on that kind of roll, but it's the only thing I can think of that makes sense. Like, what's complicated about enduring stress? Well, when you break.
Trauma.
Yeah, exactly. Really didn't take it well. So that may come up from time to time, of just those moments where the inner darkness really comes out. The life of an adventurer is hard. It's full of a lot of stress.
Yes, it is.
It's one thing about this game that I like is that it tracks that and keeps in mind the idea that, sure, you could die. Like, taking enough just carnage and damage to your body is the end of your career of an adventurer when you die, but just as damaging to your character and just as taking you out of the game is just taking enough damage to your spirit and like psyche. Like, eventually the stress just adds up too much, and there's a move like, there's face death, but there's also face desolation. When you're brought to the brink of desolation and you can't take it anymore, and your sanity just entirely breaks. It can happen. We'll see. But that's going to be a question for the sessions that follow. I thank you for checking out this session, and hopefully there weren't nearly as many audio problems this time around.
Yeah, it sounded good on my end.
Did? Okay, good.
I didn't have any hiccups.
That's good. So. I'm glad to hear it. Then we're probably okay. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So this is a thing we do every Tuesday afternoon, starting now at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We've pushed back by a little bit. Again, it's just a more convenient time. But as always, these videos are available on YouTube after the fact. So if you want to catch up on all the sessions, there's been 26 of them now. If you watched one a week, it would be half a year. And we've certainly not been every single week. So this has been going on for a little while now. And I'm always keeping an eye out towards, like, when's the wrap-up point? And because, like, at some point I'm probably going to want to take some kind of break from it and, like, maybe go back later. But I'm still happy to keep going. I'm like, the story is not over, obviously. I keep imagining, like, eventually we're going to get to those obelisks. And and that's going to be... That's probably going to feel like a good, like, kind of the end of that arc. Because this whole thing has been about the journey to the obelisks and just so many sidetracks along the way.
Sidetracks upon sidetracks.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do what I can to make sure that they don't spiral too much out of control, but just certain moments like this one, like, we established this as a big dangerous cave, like, we want to give it that kind of weight and payoff. And not just be like, yeah, and then we roll 2 rolls and then we're out of there. I feel like the cave has earned its reputation as being menacing.
Yeah. I think so too.
But anyway,
yeah, hopefully we get out.
I think so. Delve definitely takes a little while, having done it before. Like, if you're not really prepared and just, like, on point, really making progress, it can take a little while. But I'm okay with that, honestly. I like kind of this sort of change of pace of, like, no, really explore one environment really completely. It's nice every once in a while. Just like, this place is important.
Maybe we'll make another discovery in the cave.
Maybe. I think we might.
For the better or worse.
Could be. Or maybe we'll just die, and then we'll find out.
Or that.
Yeah. Anyway, though.
You never.
This has been another afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Blake and Firefly, of course, has her own stream.
I do. And you can find me streaming usually in the late afternoon evenings. Days vary. It's kind of all over the place. But yeah, I stream lullabies, ukulele, piano, and singing. And it's one of those relaxing, chill streams, usually.
Very different from this sort of thing. It's just stress. And yeah, highly recommend you check it out. Speaking of things I highly recommend you check out, I'm always recommending you check out Ironsworn and run your own games. We do this without any prep. You can too. The game's available for free, and while these delve rules that we're using are not, they're really not expensive. Get your copy. It's going to be awesome. Tell us about your stories. IronswornRPG.com is where you can do it. As for my next stream, it's going to be tomorrow, where we've always got our What's That Wednesdays. We're looking at a cool game tomorrow called Doodle Date. Yeah, it's going to be a game where it's next in our series of games you've probably never heard of. This one, we're going to be dating our drawings that I'm literally going to be drawing on stream. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that I'm going to need help coming up with things to draw. My understanding is that the story to it is actually kind of weighty, and like it gets more like real than you might expect. But there's some amount of like drawing the date, like the person I'm dating, some amount of like drawing activities we're doing. I'm curious to see how it pulls it off. It's a very indie game, and I'm looking forward to checking it out. And then we'll figure out together what'll be the next one. Because we look at a weird new game like that every Wednesday. So that'll be tomorrow starting at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And Then after that, Thursday, speaking of new games, we checked out one yesterday that I'm going to be continuing on Thursday, same time, 2 p.m. It is a game called Not for Broadcast, which is a little bit more well known, but it's this fun thing where we kind of run a news broadcast and try and keep up with all sorts of stuff and shape a narrative along the way and make decisions about whether or not we support this authoritarian government. It's kind of a combination of like Papers, Please, sort of, and Monty Python, because there's some hilarious writing. I've seen that comparison in some article that somebody wrote. And then add in a little bit of, if you've ever played a game called Calm Down Stalin, where it's just a lot of juggling activities to have to do, it's like mix all those together. Yeah. If you mix all those together, it's basically what we've got. So that'll be Thursday. Tomorrow will be the doodle date. And then Friday I'll probably do some... I don't know. Well, there'll be something going on in that same time slot. It might be more not for broadcast. I actually don't know how long that game is, so I don't know whether we may well finish it Thursday. I don't know. It may be some Dead Cells. We'll do something. There's going to be more gaming and stuff. Check out the channel, twitch.tv/MidnightJester8. You know, the place you are right now. And anyway, I'll see you all around. Thanks for joining us.